All right, it is 1 o'clock on the dot. At least here where I am. Let's do
10
it.
a.m. on the dot where I am.
There we go. Let's do a time check.
What time is it where you are, people?
Trizzy.
6.
Yeah.
6 p.m.
Wow.
It's 1 p.m. in New York.
Okay.
9?
1.
Oh, I say.
Well, we're all behind y'all. Y'all are all ahead of us.
Well, whatever time it is, wherever you are, you're right on time. Welcome to the webinar, Bike Life, the Ride Out Culture and Movement. That's what we are talking about today. I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Lonnie Swain, joined by the wonderful Jonathan. If you want to introduce yourself.
Jonathan Stafford, Culture and Engagement Manager at the Washington Area Bicycle Association and avid bike nerd and old person in this group of folks.
Age is just a mindset. Today we have American Sign Language interpretation for all of our audience provided by Renaissance One Group for ASL interpretation. All you have to do is click the interpretation icon that's at the bottom of your screen, click on American Sign Language. And also while the panelists are speaking, introducing themselves, and we're going to be going through the questions. Drop your questions in the Q&A box. So if you have anything that you want to ask any of our panelists, if you want to direct it to someone in particular, drop their name and your question in the Q&A box and we will get to it.
Right on. We don't want to, I'm excited to have this group of folks, have followed some of them and seen their work and see what they see the amazing talents that they are. I would do a disservice attempting to run off and try to tell you who they are, but I want to let them tell you who they are and what they do. And so let's go Trizzy, Curly, Trey, and Freya. Trizzy, Curly, Trey, and Freya. Ooh, say that 3 times fast. I won't try. Tell the people who you are and tell them what you do.
All right, then I'll start. Hello, everyone. I'm Trizzy. I'm a content creator turned actor right now. I've been on bikes for about six years now. I'm 19, so big part of my life, and yeah, happy to be here.
Right.
Curly.
Oh, sorry. My name is Curly. I'm from New York. I've been in the bike community since 2017. I've been riding for X amount of years, but I just started learning tricks in 2020 when the pandemic hit. I mean, we all have some time on our hands. So yeah, that's what I do. I ride my bike.
Trey.
Hey everyone, my name is Trey. I actually work with the Washington Area Bicyclists Association in DC as the DC Bike Ambassador Coordinator, just kind of trying to do a lot of work to get more people on bikes and kind of show them or get people to ride. I'm right outside of DC in Maryland, been riding since about 2014. So it's also been a big part of my life for the last almost 10 years.
Hi, my name is Freya. I'm 16 years old. I ride bikes for Mafia Bike. I've been riding probably since I was 13 years old, I'd say. 13, 14, not completely sure, around then. Yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome. And now for those who may or may not know like what Bike Life is all about, we have a little video that we can use to introduce before we get into the conversation provided by Curly. And Curly, if you would do us the favor of telling us like what's happening in the video that we're watching right here.
Absolutely. So this was actually this past weekend. One of my good friends from Oakland, she was coming out here to vacation and she wanted to do a collab. So we threw this awesome ride out. A bunch of people came. It was a great turnout. It was beautiful outside. You know, it's the beginning of summer. Everybody wants to be outside riding their bike.
Absolutely. And now, did you just like put this out on social media to get this crowd here? How did you get the word out?
Yeah, actually she made a flyer and she just put both of our pictures on the flyer and we both posted it on social media. Then everyone else reposted it, and that's pretty much how word gets out usually.
Awesome. Looks like it was a great turnout.
Yeah, everybody's just chilling, riding. It's fun to see everybody after it's been a long winter.
Yeah.
So, you know, not everybody rides in the winter, everybody's working, people are doing things. So once the nice weather starts happening, like everybody's outside. You see everybody just coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So it's a little different of a ride just because we collabed with the fixie community. We ride BMX bikes and they are a fixie community. And so it's two different worlds collabing. So it was nice to see that it hasn't been done over here in New York yet.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, with that video introduction, now we can get into some of the questions. So we're going to start off with Trizzy. How would you define what a ride out is?
On the surface, it's literally just any group bike ride. But the way I kind of see it, the bikes acts as like common ground for people, new people just meet, chat, and network. And as a result of that, friendships are gonna happen and the whole community is gonna be made. So I kind of see it as beautiful. That's all from just riding bikes.
Awesome. Love that.
I'm sorry, I was getting lost in the sauce. Curly, that's an amazing video. I'm just amazed that y'all are able to like get so many people together in such short notice. But like this bike life movement, what does that mean to you?
Honestly, like besides it meaning so much to me, like I feel like the one thing that comes to mind is family. You meet so many different people in bike life. Like for instance, if I wasn't on a bike, I would not be here sitting here talking to you guys. We all met from bike life. So I feel like, you know, you meet so many different people become like family, like you see each other every day. I've been on more vacations with my bike life family than my actual family, you know, just because I like to travel city to city and just see other riders.
Awesome. And Trey, what are some of the advocacy issues surrounding bike life that you've witnessed, experienced?
I think to start is I know here where I ride in DC, a big issue is just like the streets not being safe enough for people to ride bikes on, which is why I think a big part of what we do is put on these big ride outs where we kind of take over the streets. So cars don't have an opportunity to hit us, and like there's too many of us, so we're kind of taking over. But another thing is like police enforcement. I know a couple of riders I know personally have had interactions with police officers and have been arrested for honestly having fun. They see it as riding recklessly on the road, but we see it as kind of like an adrenaline rush and out there having fun. So I would definitely say police enforcement is something that is definitely an issue regarding advocacy.
Hmm.
Wow. Trey, this is not in here. Follow-up question for any of you. Sorry, I get off script. What is there any, like, how do y'all teach each other? How do y'all learn like what to do when you have those interactions? Is there a best practices, something happening somewhere? Because that hurts my feelings that happens.
Honestly, I would say no. There isn't like training to this or anything. Of course, we don't expect to go out there and get honestly harassed by police, but yeah, it's struggling because it's a lot of youth that they snatch up as well, and it's like they could be doing a lot of other things other than really like putting people in handcuffs that are riding bikes but there's a lot of other things going on in the world that they could be attended to.
Mhm.
Speaking of youth, Freya, I think you are the youngest person on the panel, and I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest. So I'm gonna ask you this, and please accept this in the way I intended. How does someone so young and obviously so talented, how did you get involved with this? Like, how did this start for you?
So like I've always rode bikes. Like I got a bike when I was like, I don't know, 5. I used to live on a cul-de-sac, which is like like the top of the roads. Like there's no, it just stops there. And all my mates lived on the same road, and we all used to ride our bikes up and down the road because we were young and stuff. And then I got a new bike for Christmas when I was like 11, 12, like a mountain bike. And then I started seeing videos on YouTube, and then I just like told my mates, and we just all got into it suddenly, and like we were all doing it every weekend and stuff, practicing and all that. Yeah, basically.
Wow. You make it sound so simple. It's like I saw it on YouTube. I told
And
my
I
mate.
did
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Mhm. That's how it happens.
Love it.
And so I think kind of going back to maybe even some of the advocacy piece, Curly, what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about bike life, and why?
Feel like one of the biggest misconceptions is that like we are in the streets to terrorize people and like harass people in the cars and all this craziness, when in all actuality, like we're just a group of friends riding together, doing something that we love. We mean no harm to anyone. If anything, we want to show people our talent, you know, make people like, oh my God, like some people never seen this type of thing. So
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the biggest misconception. Like I said, we mean no harm. We just want to have fun. Why? There are some people that, you know, are in the streets doing things that I have no control over. So sometimes other riders can give us a bad name, but I'm already part of the older crowd. Like I'm literally riding my bike because I enjoy it. So that's really the reason.
Mm.
Nice. Trizzy, talk to us a little bit about positive impacts that bike life that you've seen in your community.
The best way I can put it, yeah, is it kind of acts as a deterrent. It takes young people away from possibly harmful environments. And it's no secret, there's a lot of like violence and stabbing in London right now. The bikes take the youth literally just away from that. If it's for an hour, if it's for the whole day, if you start riding bikes, you know, away from it for a couple of years, that's at least one person. But from what I've seen, it's been thousands. And I can personally vouch for that. So positive all the way around.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Trizzy. And just a reminder to our audience, as you're listening, you can drop your questions in the Q&A box. We're already getting some questions in there. So don't wait till the last minute to get your question in, because we're going to be asking them to our panelists in the order that they are received. So the next question is for you, Freya. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced so far as a part of bike life?
I'd say mainly the police. I had them turn up to my street at like 9 o'clock at night, like just coming to me and my nan, and they were like, if you carry on, we're gonna, you know, do you for antisocial behaviour. When all I did was take a cone that was on the pavement, is no use, so swerve it, but that was it. And they like accused me of drinking alcohol on the street, and I don't even drink anyway. I wouldn't lie by it. Like all this random stuff, like just stupidness, like. They accused my whole group, sent letters to all their houses saying that we were being antisocial because the people on the street didn't like the fact that we were having fun, I think. And that obviously there's like 10 of us who were being quite loud, but not to the point where we were so disrespectful. But I say the police is the biggest thing, in my opinion, is that they just don't like it.
So it's not just an issue here in the US, it's also an issue in Bristol and.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's crazy. You were accused of being antisocial when you were actually out being social. It's
Yeah, I know. That's what I said to them. I had a full-blown argument with them at like 10 o'clock at night, and they were just getting really angry. They just didn't like it. This woman couldn't, like, you know, defend themselves, but it's whatever, innit?
wow, I have to deal with that at 16. Trey, I want to preface this by saying, like, I know the work that you do, and I know how familiar you are with bike infrastructure. I'm gonna ask you this question and answer it as in depth as you might feel comfortable doing so. What types of bike infrastructure issues have you seen, do you see as potentially problematic to bike life? And then what are some of the possible solutions to those issues?
I think I mentioned it a little earlier, but like the places for us to ride, like although when we do the ride outs, we do honestly take over the street and we can't kind of be uh, uh, centered on like a bike lane or something. But I think for like newer riders that are just getting started or wanting to experience bike life and like being out in the streets and having fun, maybe they aren't as comfortable like on the street. So I would say like the bike lanes and the trails are some places that like for like the youth to get started and work their way up to riding in traffic and riding around cars. I think honestly that is probably the biggest challenge to people that are just getting started, just like riding in traffic and getting comfortable knowing that there's a car a few feet away from you and knowing your comfort level when you ride. So I honestly say like building more places where people can ride and have fun and feel safe at the same time.
Yeah, I like that. If there's any planners out there, y'all listen to that there, because you can fix that, right? Like, especially if there's a place where people ride and there's a requirement to be in a bike lane, well, then you're opening up people who can't always ride in a bike lane to enforcement, right? It's like a vicious cycle. So y'all planners and officials, y'all listen to that. That's this new generation, this now generation. I don't want to say y'all new because y'all been here a little while. This now generation of riders are experiencing this stuff. We got some audience questions.
We do, and it's a good segue talking about not really using the bike lanes or bike lanes not being the best use. But then Terrence asks, should obstructing traffic be discussed? So in terms of these ride outs, is it, you know, to your point, when you're not using the bike lanes and it's obstructing traffic, how do you all kind of navigate that with regards to both making sure that you're riding safely, but also not impeding traffic to some degree? Or do you care about obstructing traffic at all?
I would personally say when people do too much with obstruction traffic, it kind of gets to my nerves. What we have to do is act as a community. If we don't have the right people around saying, stop doing that car, I hear what people are saying. Some of it can be stupid. People are doing stupidness, but no one will say it to them. Remember, it's young people in the city on their back, different environment. Some might act up. If we can't step up and say, what are you doing? Then what can we really say? But whenever I'm in a group, we can't be doing no obstruction traffic or things like that. That's me personally.
Thanks, Trizzy. Anybody else have comments on that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any need to be, you know, a pain in the ass to other cars. We all share the same road. All be considerate. You know, as long as you're not like trying to purposely get in their way and start arguments. As you just stay like in a ride out, just stay all together in a group, all in line, then it should go smoothly. You know what I mean? Like it's going smoothly through traffic. You're not, you know, annoying other drivers and getting in arguments and all that.
I think another frustration comes when drivers are just trying to like get to where they need to go. Like they're trying to be on their way to work and they run into this big ride out that of course, like you can't get around them all the times. So honestly, it's kind of what we would phrase it as like being patient. We're not trying, like Curly said earlier, we're not trying to cause any harm. We're just out here having fun, and usually like that time will go past quickly, and you'll be able to be on your way. But of course, we like Trizzy also said, like we're trying to make sure that we're leading by example. So if we are seeing like kids out there just holding up traffic for no reason, trying to tell them to move out the way or something, but yeah, it could be challenging when you as a driver, but that's why we recommend that you get on the bike and you're not stuck in traffic.
I like that recommendation.
Hop in the ride out. What are your thoughts on bike lanes in reference to them being safe places for people to travel by bike? I think a couple of you have touched on that in reference to like new riders, but do you think bike lanes are a safer way to travel? Or I think what I heard Trizzy say is like everybody should be able to be in the road at the same time, but I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. What do y'all think about bike lanes as it relates to safety? That's question is from Katie. Trey, I would just point to you, but
in Bristol, we got an amazing bike lane. I think it's very good. I think if you're trying to get somewhere quick and safe, definitely use it. Like our one goes through Bristol and Bath, which is completely over here. I think it's amazing that they did it. May need some repairs. The roads are a bit, the bike lane's a bit bumpy, but that doesn't matter. But I think it's definitely, if you're just like, you know, commuting, it's definitely a better way than the roads, because like drivers get very angry at bikes, in my experience. They don't like it. If they can't get around you, it annoys them. But like, I mean, like I said, we all share the road, but like there is a special place for bikes. So if you can use that, I would use it, in my opinion. I use it every day personally to get to college and to get to work. I think it's a better way. It flows more quicker. I think it's just perfect.
I'm barring Trey from answering this question. You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I was saying I kind of want to chime in because, like, I also think it's based off of your comfort levels. Like, some people feel more comfortable riding in the bike lane versus people who may have like a little bit more experience, know how to navigate better on the road and with other cars around. So I would say, yeah, basically, like, if you feel safe riding there, yes, you should be there. But also, I don't want to feel like I don't want people to feel like they're restricted to a bike lane just because it's there. Like you have the same rights and you could ride on the road if you feel so. And that means like taking up an entire lane if you need to be. So
yeah. See, that's why I didn't want you to answer. You stealing my thunder. That was gonna be my follow-up answer. Anybody else? How y'all feel about bike? Do y'all ride in bike lanes? Curly, you riding the bike lane?
Well, the only thing with I do ride in the bike lane on like busy streets. The only problem I have with the bike lanes is that when they do street cleaning, all the trash goes pretty much into the bike lane. So there'd be a bunch of glass and just things that could possibly hurt you like while you're riding. Also, cars think it's okay to park in the bike lane. So even police officers, I see police cars all the time in bike lanes, UPS trucks, like big trucks, like unloading stuff. So it's like we have a bike lane for a reason. There's a street for a reason. Yes, I get it. Like he said, depending on your comfort level, you can ride in the street or you can ride in the bike lane. But the bike lane seems to have more problems than actually just using the street. So my preference, and I'm a pro, no, I'm joking. I prefer the streets just because I feel like it's safer for my bike, being that I won't get a flat tire. I probably won't bump into a parked car that's not supposed to be in the bike lane. So, yeah.
I think a bike lane, our bike paths are completely different to America. Like the one we have in Bristol is completely off the road. You go down this little path, and it's only that, like, it's all covered in trees and like it's completely secluded from a road. I think that's why I suggested the bike lane is a good option, because you will not see a car on it. You wouldn't, like, all you see is bikes, and like young children are on it, everyone uses it and they walk on it. I think it's especially different because we don't get any rubbish all over the bike lane. I think I know New York is a very busy city. Like, I think if you're in the UK and you have one of these, it's definitely better to use. But like Trey said, we all own the road. It's not just cars who think they have the priority of everyone else like they always do. But yeah.
And so I think that makes a good segue into Katie's second question about specifically bike trails or parks. Do you think that using those types of things, so bike trails being different from the bike lanes, would that help improve the relationship to police officers specifically? Or if there was a space specifically for, you know, the bike life to kind of have their own space?
Do y'all want to ride on trails? Let's start with that. Do y'all?
Yeah,
is that for you as part of the way you ride?
The short answer, no. Honestly, it's an adrenaline rush riding in the street. Like people in bike life, like that feeling of like being in traffic and being around like cars, honestly. So like being stuck on the trail, like honestly, sometimes trails can be more busy than like the streets. You'll have people walking their dogs, strollers, and all types of other things on the trail. So in relationship to like police officers though, no, I don't think that would help like with the relationship because they honestly I found that like it seems like police would find a way to um cause a scene or something with bicyclists because if we're on the trail wheeling, I'm sure that will eventually become an issue with someone. So honestly, I would rather stick to the streets.
Curly, I can only imagine you trying to take that group of folks out to Central Park and ride around Central Park. That might not go too well.
You know what's crazy? We still go through Central Park. Central Park has its own like huge bike lane. So there are guys that are on like race bikes. So they're racing through there. There's people on like one wheel, like scooter thingies. Like there's a bunch of bikes and scooters and rollerbladers and all kinds of things on the road. So Central Park it's another place for bikes. It's coming along over the years. Before people were just there to just, you know, probably just walk around the park and stuff. But no, we definitely take Central Park over. I will say that.
Should. Trizzy, what about you? Parks or no parks?
You're on mute, brother.
Trizzy, you're muted. He like giving that smooth answer. Can't hear him.
And it was smooth as well. I kind of want to answer Andy's question about local advocacy, but I would personally say I'm not a park guy. I got used to the environment that I was given, so I'm used to the street and the road. But with sorry if you're moving on like that, because I kind of like this question.
The next question. Okay.
Yeah, any group or company that actually wants to get involved, because he's even put it here, decentralized leadership. So you don't really know who's leading it. If I'm phrasing it, let me know wrong. Best way to do it is literally get involved. You're not going to see it on the surface. You're going to have to be involved in the environment, and that's how you actually progress from it. But trying to invest with that no knowledge within it, it's not going to go anywhere. Actually get to know what we're talking about, because it's not just us that love what we're doing. There's thousands of us globally that love riding bikes. Get involved, enjoy it for yourself, and only the best can leave from there.
Right. So what Trizzy is responding to is the question about advocacy groups and nonprofits, how to be allies to bike life movement, right? And which bike life generally has, I think, there's no like one leader, right? Trizzy, are you like the leader in New York? I mean, in London?
London ain't got no leader. It's a community.
Right.
All together, literally.
Yeah, right.
Which is why, you can contact different people, but best way to do it is to get involved.
Yeah, to get involved with just with bike life in general. Like, let's say
ride out.
Okay, with the ride out. Okay.
Get on your back, come on a ride out.
Yeah, got you.
You won't turn back.
So I'll give all of you a good, like, this is a likely scenario. Okay, so I work at a nonprofit. I work in a nonprofit that works on bike advocacy and education, etc. Right. So I want to make sure that I'm connecting with the bike life folks and giving and doing what we need to do for you guys. Like, where do I start? Do I just hashtag bike life on Instagram and start contacting? Like, how Curly, I'm in New York, I'm trying to get stuff going. Who do I talk to? Because there's no leader there.
Honestly, yeah, there is no leader. I feel like social media plays a big part in this. A lot of people watch people's videos. You'll see familiar faces over and over. And I feel like that's probably like the best way to contact anybody, whoever you see the most. Like, for social media, at least, like, I know it kind of sounds crazy, but people with big followings, especially that ride bike, like, I feel like those are the people to get in contact with. You see people throwing ride outs on Instagram. It doesn't matter, even if they got one follower, you still contact them. You see they throwing a ride out. They may know other people who are, good to contact and stuff like that. So, yeah.
All right. Trey, if you're in the DC, Maryland area, same process, or?
Yeah, I think social media influence definitely plays a factor. Bringing somebody, I mean, like I know Trizzy and Curly said, like, there's no leader, but they have people like in bike life that other people look up to, honestly. So if you can find somebody that's an influencer to kind of show you how they got started and what makes them passionate about riding, and maybe definitely what Trizzy said, like joining the ride out, getting in, and like seeing what the life is like, because it's not like a everyday ride out. Like, we're not just cruising around the streets. Well, we are, but in another way, like on one wheel and kind of getting through traffic and having fun while we're doing it. So yeah, I would definitely say, yeah, get looped in, get riding, and yeah, find one of those social media influencers that are like in the bike life culture to reach out to.
Okay. I'm gonna tell y'all, if I'm in Bristol, I know who I'm calling.
Sorry, I had to turn my phone around because my phone was on 10%. That's why it's a different view.
All good.
Yes, we do have a few more. So Bruce says, I think bike lanes, like bike helmets, are problematic. They create a sense among drivers that people on bikes must be in bike lanes, which often is not true, especially where there are hazards in the way. Similarly, it has been shown that with a higher prevalence of bike helmets, car drivers are less careful around cyclists. He says he does use a helmet all the time, by the way, just FYI, but do you all have any perceptions about that in terms of, bike lanes making drivers feel like you should be in the bike lane, and in terms of wearing helmets or either one of those things being problematic?
I think the issue is that, like, people want to drive fast, and it's the fact that, like, when you're on the bike, of course you're not going to be moving as fast as the person driving, but I think a lot of drivers need to get a lot of patience, and also just learning that, like, why people bike on the road. Like, as you mentioned, there's a lot of hazards and things in the bike lane, which is why we're in the street most of the time. In some cases, like Curly mentioned, there's a car blocking the bike lane, so we're riding where we feel the safest. So I agree. Like, I think, yeah, bike lanes can be problematic, but for people that are getting started and trying to join the movement, or whether they're just trying to ride, I think they're a good step to, like, build people's comfort level when they're riding.
And any comment on helmets? Like I noticed in your video, Curly, not many people had helmets on. Do you have any opinions about that?
Honestly, no, whatever makes you comfortable. I feel like people automatically feel that, well, I would say like the youth and stuff, like some people are like, oh, helmet's not cool. And then people that have been in the bike life community for a while, some people just automatically assume like since we are how do I say this, since we're an inspiration to others, since people are watching us, we should lead by example and put on a helmet because it's a good example for the youth and everything. But I'm gonna do whatever makes me comfortable. If your parent feels that you should have a helmet on, maybe you should ride with a helmet. Like I said, whatever makes you comfortable, and that's really it. It doesn't say we must have a helmet on. You should, to protect yourself. Yeah, we all know that, but it all depends on you.
Mm-hmm. Any other comments on that? We have time for a few more questions if anybody wants to get any questions in. Overall, what I'm kind of hearing from this is that you all don't necessarily want separation from the cars, but if it's more like wanting respect, like for the cyclists to have respect for the drivers and the drivers to have respect for the cyclists. That's what I'm hearing. Is that probably accurate? And like we can share the roads and just all kind of coexist as long as we're respecting everybody.
50-50 relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Just being considerate.
Yeah.
I have a question for you while we're waiting for maybe another couple of audience questions to come in. Can each of you tell me what makes you feel so drawn to, so connected? What brings you joy in doing ride outs and bike life? Like, what makes you like? Why you do this? Because I'm assuming it makes you happy. Because none of you go creaking and screaming. So. Curly, why bike life? Why? I mean, because you could have done a bunch of other stuff, but you chose this.
I like to be an inspiration, especially to the female community. Bike life is mainly male dominated. I like to be an example, like anything that the guys can do, we can do. It's fun, it's good exercise, you meet fun people, like it's all about connections, networking also. Like I said, again, without bike life, I would not be here speaking to you guys. So meeting new people, all that, like, it's what it's about.
It's dope. Trey?
I think it's the joy of just seeing how, well, I guess it's joyful to see other people's joy when we're riding. I know me, like I can wheelie, but there's a lot of people that can do other tricks along with wheelie, and that to me is like dope to see so many like different ages, so many different races, so many different people out doing the same thing or enjoying the same thing. Like we all have this passion of whether it's just riding, but kind of like that joy of wheeling, seeing how far you can really challenging each other. I think that's a big thing at like ride outs. Like, oh, people always want to see who's the best, but when you're all riding, you all can kind of show your skills off when you ride.
Trizzy, Freya, what brings you joy? Why do you do this?
I would say once you've been in it for a certain amount of time, it's less about coming out on the bikes and more about being genuine and just seeing your friends outside. And you just end up doing that every single weekend or every single other day. And you just build relationships.
I think it's like the community. There's so many people that enjoy it, and like you all come out at one time, and so many people come out, and it just shows you how great it is that we all do this one thing, and that you can see everyone has a sense of joy in their face. I think that's my opinion.
Awesome. Well, we don't have really any more questions right now, but I know people are going to think of some like as soon as we end this call. So if they want to get in touch with you, find out about your next ride out, how can they get in contact with everyone? Let's start with you, Trey.
I would say social media, Instagram. Instagram, I can drop it maybe in the chat if I have access. ROZAY_TREY. Yeah, it's just that's probably the easiest way to reach us. And yeah, just figure out what's coming up as far as like ride outs, and yeah, other bike life events.
Curly, how can people get in touch with you?
Easiest way to get in contact with me is through my Instagram or through email. I'll drop my email and my Instagram below. Instagram is curlyblocks, and my email is she'sgotblocks@gmail.com. I'll give the spelling down below since it's not spelled the normal way.
Okay. And Trizzy?
I've got a YouTube if you guys want to see what happens. It's Trizzy London if you want to go search. Also, Alon made a couple things about helmets. I personally love my helmet. I lost it like a couple years ago. Helmets are great. Let's not get it twisted. But a lot of people just don't wear them. A lot of people are them young people, but I personally advocate for helmets.
Awesome.
Mine is my email or my Instagram. I'll put it in the thingy because my last name's a bit people find it difficult to spell, I'd say. But I'll do it now. Is it in the normal chat?
Okay, and just make sure that you select everyone from the drop down on the chat when you put it in the chat to make sure that instead of just to the host and the panelists, so that the audience can see it.
My only option is selected with the panelists or just host and panelists, so everyone.
Yeah, for some reason we don't have access to.
Not host, Lonnie.
Okay, let's see. Now try.
Sorry about that, folks.
Oh, I see it now. You can select everyone.
They're dropping them. They're dropping them.
There we go.
Dopeness. I want to bring this conversation full circle. As we've been talking all month long about community mobility rituals, right? And Obai, who most of you already know, I mean, like the people, I know you all know them, but I'm talking about the people there.
The audience.
Yeah. He's been talking, he really thought that this was like like the next iteration of what a community mobility ritual was. And so there's like these 7 elements. And Lonnie, no, I did not remember them. I wrote them down. I have not committed them to memory, but I found as we were talking that I've checked every one of them off. And I think that speaks to how important ride out culture and bike life can be to a community. So rhythmic frequency, the fact that you all can find like time to do this and pull these things together, like that. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that your rhythm might be different from the way I've interpreted rhythm, right? Like I might do a ride once a month on the 3rd Friday, but the fact that you all said, like, Curly was like, my friend was coming to town. She wanted to ride. So we made it happen, right? Like that's a whole different type of rhythm. And I think that's important to still recognize. Trizzy talked about socialization and how it brings people together to network. this racialized healing. I'm looking at y'all all talked about how y'all get joy from this and how this is wonderful for you all to participate in. Reduce barriers participation. It doesn't cost anything for people to show up. And I'm gonna be up before we got on, y'all. I told them my bike is not suitable to show up at Ride Out. And they told me you show up with whatever you have to ride. So I all of these things, and then the major one for me is the disruption of the status quo. Like the way people think about who is a cyclist, who rides bikes. They often think about spandex, or they think about people with panniers or baskets, right? Or people going camping, but the fact that you all are still like you're on bikes, and I think you're more hashtag bike life than I ever am, and I'm on a bike regularly. I think that's amazing. Like it's a disruption of what folks are thinking the status quo is. And then y'all own the space. So y'all checked all the boxes for a community mobility ritual. And listen, I would not have thought it, but I'm convinced, I'm thoroughly convinced. And Curly, if I'm ever in London when a Ride Out is happening and I have a bike, you see I'm putting all these ands on there, and I have a bike and I'm free. No, no, I'll catch y'all on the ride if I'm ever around y'all, for sure.
Awesome.
Oh, look at that. Speak of him, and he shall appear.
Obayi has joined us, and we're just making that connection of the ritual aspect that is bike life and how it brings the community together. And speaking of community events, we've got some more upcoming Equiticity events. This was our final webinar. So thank you all for joining us and being a part of our final webinar in this series. But coming up, we have the Nature of Magic Walk series meeting every second Sunday. The next one is in Garfield Park in Chicago on Sunday, June 11th. Meeting time is at 10:30 in the morning. Walk will start at 11 a.m. and 12:30 yoga and picnic. You can check out Equiticity's YouTube page for previous CMR webinar series sessions. You can donate to the work that we're doing by visiting equiticity.org and donate. And of course, you can follow us on all social media platforms at Equiticity. Jonathan, do you want to tell people how they can get in touch with you after this?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you can find me at Jonathan R. Stafford at anywhere.com. And that's literally anywhere. Not like don't type in anywhere.com. That's if you're on Facebook, it's Jonathan R. Stafford. If you're on Instagram, it's Jonathan R. Stafford. If you're looking for me on LinkedIn, it's Jonathan R. Stafford. And it's the one that's going to have this face and not the other guy's face. So you can find me at Jonathan R. Stafford at just pretty much anywhere. You all check out the chat. Some people have put out some resources in the chat for you to peruse through. Different things. So please feel free to check out the chat before we close out for the day.
I want to hear some last final remarks from all of our panelists. If any of our listeners has one thing that you want them to take away from this conversation about bike life, what would it be? Trey, go.
The bike life movement is a family. So if you want to join a group of people that want to get out, have fun and ride, I would say find one of the ride outs. They're happening in every state almost. So find a ride out that's happening where you live and join it.
Awesome. Curly.
Say this all the time, step out your comfort zone. Doesn't matter what kind of bike you own.
Jonathan.
Rollerblades, you could be on a scooter. Come out, have fun. Most people in the bike life community are very welcoming. And the more the merrier.
Awesome. Trizzy.
It's one of the best coaches out of the generation so far. So just get involved because it's always going to get bigger and better.
Freya.
I've only got 2 words because you put me on the spot, but it's just get involved. Get involved, that's it. You won't regret it.
Awesome.
Love it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all. Thank you, all of our panelists. Thank you to all of our audience. We appreciate you. We could not do this without you and spreading this word about bike life and the ride out culture and the whole movement. So we appreciate you for all that you do and for all of our audience for supporting what we are doing and having, being able to reach an understanding, because a lot of people, I think, are not aware or have misconceptions. And so hopefully after this conversation, there's a little more clarity. Jonathan?
I couldn't have said it any better myself. I hope to see you all out there. If you're ever in the DC region, in the DMV, by all means, look me up. I'll take you somewhere that you've probably never been and do some stuff that you've probably never seen. So.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
That's what we are. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.